Hello everyone, Andy Pickering here. Welcome to the show. It is time for this week's crypto market sentiment check. So this will be a video on the Brave New Coin YouTube channel. Just going to go through some of the data points in the crypto markets from the last week and see what we can find. But before we do that, need to give a quick shout out to our new sponsor, Nexo. Are you ready to grow your wealth with the world's leading digital assets institution, which of course is Nexo? Well, I hope you are, because you can earn up to 12% on your digital assets with Nexo's high yield savings account. So treat yourself, treat your crypto, treat your fiat with the industry's best crypto and fiat services, which include a compounding interest paid out daily. There are 18 available cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, stablecoins, and more. And they accept 3 different fiat currencies, the Euro, the Pound, and USD. Now, Nexo also has up to $375 million worth of insurance on all of their custodial assets. Top-ups and withdrawals are available at any time, and there are 0 fees for using the Nexo Earn Suite. Very cool. Simple as that. All right. You want to learn more? Of course you do. Just go to nexo.io, and that, of course, is spelled Nexo.io. And, well, that's it, really. Now, thank you to Nexo, and let's get on with the show. Okay, let's start off here at CoinMarketCap, just to have a quick check-in with the price. You can see that Bitcoin, well, it's, yes, 38K, 38,800 almost, was briefly up over 39K about an hour ago. Time-wise, for me here in New Zealand, it is Monday morning, so just, nice way to kick off the week with a major jump up with Bitcoin price, doing, well, 8.88% up since yesterday. So very interesting. So over on the Coin 360 heat map, you can see, nothing but green, really. So as I say, Monday morning here in New Zealand, I guess Sunday night in the US and most places around the world, as we look to begin the new week with a nice little jump up in price. But of course, the main news or narrative, if you like, in Bitcoin and crypto for the last week, really, of course, is the news coming out of El Salvador, right? So this is Nayib Bukele, who is the president of El Salvador, and yeah, I mean, he has had, what a week he has had. So he basically went from announcing that El Salvador would make Bitcoin a legal tender to releasing the bill the next day, and then effectively getting it passed the day after that, I think. So just amazing. This is the bill that the president took through to the El Salvadorian parliament. And so I'm not going to read it all through. You can. It is worth reading if you haven't read it, mainly because it's so short. Quite incredible that it's just a 2-pager. But this 2-pager says that the purpose of this law is to regulate Bitcoin as unrestricted legal tender with liberating power in El Salvador, basically. So it says prices may be expressed in Bitcoin, tax contributions can be paid in Bitcoin, and exchanges in Bitcoin will not be subjected to capital gains tax, just like any legal tender. So quite amazing. And I love that this bill can just be expressed in 2 short pages, plain English, easy enough to understand. So this is footage of the bill being passed. This is last week in the El Salvador Parliament. What was amazing about this was that Nick Carter is a Bitcoiner and a Twitter guy. He was hosting a Twitter Spaces while all this was happening, and Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, came into that Twitter Spaces room with a whole bunch of Bitcoiners from around the world and, curious bystanders. So there are about 20,000 people in that Twitter Spaces room. I was in there. A lot of prominent Bitcoiners were in there, and it was really quite amazing just to see history being made, and the bill being passed in real time, and all these different Bitcoiners kind of offering suggestions and interviewing the president in real time as all this was taking place. So yeah, it just kind of struck me that incredibly powerful that Twitter enables this kind of direct communication style, without the need for the mainstream media gatekeepers, we could say, even though Twitter could be seen as a tech gatekeeper. But Pomp put all this into context in a nice, concise matter. So, kind of overview of what happened in literally 4 days. The president announced that Bitcoin would become legal tender. A simple 3-page bill was presented. The government voted and approved the bill, and the president came on Twitter to speak candidly, direct to the audience. And Pomp says, impossible to see how the US could move this fast. And I think that is a very fair point. So just, again, amazing to see the world kind of changing and how it's changing, how fast it's changing, and who's involved. Just unprecedented times, really. Again, another great demonstration of how fast the president and the people down there in El Salvador are moving. So this is last week. President Bukele said that he had instructed the president of their state-owned geothermal electric company to create a plan to offer facilities for Bitcoin mining based on 100% clean, green, renewable energy that comes fresh out of the El Salvador volcanoes. Now that is, again, quite incredible. And just the next day, they'd already dug a well. Work has begun, and so that's I think that's pure water vapor coming out. But that just gives you an idea of the kind of immense energy resource that they have there. And of course, it's clean, it's green, it's renewable, and it's going to be mining Bitcoin, volcano power. So again, if we step back 1 second, as much as it's obviously incredible that El Salvador has passed this law and Bitcoin is now legal tender in El Salvador, what's interesting is that all these other Latin American countries, really, so Paraguay, Panama, Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, and Mexico, there's notable, I'm not going to go through who all these people are, but they're notable politicians and leaders, and they're Bitcoiners, and there's a real movement happening all of a sudden. So if we were going to map out what that looks like, you can just see, Bitcoiners turning on their laser eyes all across the world, particularly in Latin America, right? Now, probably to no one's surprise, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, says that El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin as legal tender, well, it could raise a series of risks and regulatory challenges. So, I mean, of course, the IMF is going to say that. They have to say that. They're not going to be super pumped straight away to hear that, countries are breaking away and adopting new currencies, but they are. And I guess one of the reasons that the IMF might be slightly dubious is because, as Chris Berniski points out here, Latin America uniting under a Bitcoin would be quite an effective way to strike back at the kind of the dollar and debt cycle that they have been forced into, really, by, I guess, the US. So yeah, it's just amazing that we've sort of always talked about Bitcoin as this, geopolitical battle of intrigue, and well, now we're really seeing that come to fruition, right? Also, yeah. So I guess one of the stories. It's not so much a story that's being lost, but with the news coming out of El Salvador, important to recognize that there has been this kind of boots on the ground movement, if you like, for some time, with the Bitcoin Beach crew and the Lightning Network crew, all just kind of working behind the scenes in El Salvador to kind of lay out some of the infrastructure to make all this possible. So that's a really important story to be told, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that in the months ahead. But Jack Mallers and co on the ground there really doing amazing things. With the Bitcoin Beach crew setting up the Lightning Network, and as a result, really, of their work and the president's decree, I don't think my sound's working here, but now, yeah. So if you ask Siri or Alexa or your local friendly AI, just ask him or her, what is the currency of El Salvador, and boom, Google, Alexa, Siri, they will all tell you that Bitcoin is now legal tender in El Salvador. Amazing. Now, of course, look, we looked at, the IMF have said, they've gone on record saying that they see potential problems with this. Also, I talked about how this is, becoming a geopolitical battle of intrigue, right? I mean, same in politics, really. So here we've got Elizabeth Warren, a very prominent Democrat in the US, and she talks about how Bitcoin requires so much computing activity that it's using more energy than entire countries. One of the easiest and least disruptive things we can do to fight the climate crisis, according to Senator Warren, is to crack down on environmentally wasteful cryptocurrencies. So she would say that, wouldn't she? So here's Jack from Twitter. He says, well, Senator Warren, if you believe Bitcoin doesn't ultimately shift power from banks and corporations, which are the ones that Warren is said that she's trying to reduce their power and give it back to the people. Well, come on, Bitcoin is one of the most effective ways that you can achieve those goals. But of course, that does depend on your perspective. So, look, interesting that you've got I guess prominent tech people like Jack and Balaji and Pomp, and the list goes on, Michael Saylor, etc. Really flying the flag for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Politicians on both sides now really starting to pick a side. So we've got Elizabeth Warren from the left here. She's obviously against. Here's a right-wing guy. Now, I wouldn't necessarily have picked Sean Hannity for a Bitcoiner, but just last week on Fox News, on his show, Hannity, I think it's called, he had Michael Saylor on, and I was expecting this to be a kind of combative interview and, the kind of the Hannity style, but no, Hannity was very friendly with Saylor and basically just gave Saylor a platform to talk about Bitcoin for 10 minutes. And right at the start, Hannity actually said, look, I don't understand Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, but I'm invested. I own some. So, yeah, Sean Hannity is a Bitcoiner, and look, he's even got the laser eyes. He hasn't changed his profile pic to laser eyes, but he's yeah, he should, because he said new laser eyes. Anyway, so there you go, Sean Hannity, a Bitcoiner. So you can see that the dominoes are starting to fall. Now, what have we got here? Yeah, so I guess, to kind of put this into wider context, so we talked about the IMF saying that, El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin is problematic. And really, Nick Carter here, he's saying that, Balaji is right. So Balaji talks about this a lot, right? So, and that kind of wider geopolitical context, the choices that countries have today are, they've kind of got three options. They can choose the Sino-authoritarianism route, which effectively means they can, jump on board with China. They can choose the fraying Washington consensus, jump on board with the US, or there's maybe a third path. They could choose the new non-aligned movement, which is just another way of saying decentralize all of the things, right? So yeah, I mean, Balaji kind of he would expand it like this. So number one is communist capital. So that's everything China, right? Number two, second option is woke capital, which is the US and wokeness in general. Mainstream media, the old Western way of doing things. And then, but again, the third path is this idea of crypto capital, and potentially some US states like Texas, Wyoming, those kind of progressive states that they're not progressive politically. Well, maybe they are, but they're progressive in terms of crypto laws, right? And yeah, so again, well, I'm just including this because it's just important to kind of keep these ideas in your head as a kind of framework for where the world could be fragmenting to in this decade, really. Now, again, from Balaji, of course, earlier this year, so we've had all the FUD coming out of China. China bans Bitcoin mining. We've been through that cycle twice already this year, and we've kind of been through the cycle with India as well. But I don't know if it's Balaji pulling strings, someone behind the scenes, but it's possible that India, they might not be banning Bitcoin after all. What a surprise. They do tend to go back and forward, but yeah, it's kind of India might be warming up to crypto again, or at least not banning it, which would be hugely positive for them. Right, we can't really do a market sentiment report without checking in with old mate Elon, and yeah, no, good news today. So Cointelegraph, they published a kind of opinion piece by the Signia CEO Magna Wishiker. So I don't really know too much about her, but the piece was basically critical of Elon and describing him as kind of pumping and dumping the markets. And Elon himself, he replied, and he says that he said that this piece is inaccurate. Tesla only sold 10% of its holdings to confirm that Bitcoin could be liquidated without moving the market. But the relevant bit is what he says here. He says when there's confirmation of a reasonable, say 50% clean energy usage by miners and a positive future trend, Tesla will resume allowing Bitcoin transactions again. So yeah, that is quite interesting, possibly bullish. Was it, so this was 5 hours ago that Elon tweeted that around the time that, Bitcoin did this massive 9% move up. So I don't know if we can contribute all of this current momentum to Elon. Certainly wouldn't want to give him too much credit. I think Elon has, that will be helping though. And of course, this the narrative building around El Salvador and all these other countries, that is helping as well. But we're still, I think, if you look at some of Josh's videos on the Brave New Coin YouTube channel, of course, I think Josh said that he wants to see, he won't really turn bullish until we're above 40K. So I think that's kind of the level to watch. Can we get above 40K, potentially maybe avoid this death cross that people are talking about? I don't know. I'm not really an analyst or a chartist, as you know. So I think that's just kind of the level that we want to watch going forward this week. Obviously, Josh will be putting videos out every day. All right, let's finish this off. So I guess just finishing off with this meme, it's really just kind of a shout out to Jack Mallers, who he was, Jack that made the initial announcement at the Bitcoin conference in Miami that El Salvador would be making Bitcoin tender, legal tender. And really, this is only a little over a week ago that Jack even made this speech, right, at the conference. A week and a half, 2 weeks ago, 10 days. And already so much has happened. Bitcoin now is legal tender in El Salvador. Lots happening. just a really interesting time to be alive. And so, this is Brooke, Jack's mom and dad. And so just, are you winning, son? Well, yeah, guys, I'm actually memeing a new global reserve currency into existence, and actually is. So you got to give Jack a bit of a shout out, a bit of credit for really just getting out there and doing incredible things for Bitcoin. All right, let's finish this off, guys. Thank you very much for listening and coming with us today as we just kind of go through Twitter and try and pull out some interesting data points. And yeah, great to see some positive price action again, but we'll just have to see if that can play out across the rest of the week. But yes, thank you for listening. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. See ya.